A couple of months ago, I had a few people call my office and email, and they were very excited and said, "We need your help. We want to bid for the Transplant Games." And I'm thinking, what is the Transplant Games? But they came up to my office, and we had a great conversation, and it's hard not to get emotionally involved with the Transplant Games. And when they left, I looked at the staff and said, "We have to bid for this. This is amazing." And so I'm not going to steal anybody's thunder, and I'll let them tell their own stories. But sports does change lives. We know that through youth, through the different grants that they get to go to school. It brings self-esteem. It brings team building. All of those different aspects. But this particular sporting event brings a whole new aspect. And so today, for the first time, it's going to be announced where the games are going to go. We're all waiting with bated breath to see if Houston has won the bid. And so I would like to ask Bill Ryan, the President and CEO of Transplant Games of America, to come forward.
Thank you, Janice, and thank you, Mayor Parker, for welcoming me to your beautiful city. Good morning, Houston.
Good morning.
What a glorious morning it is, too. I'm here to share some exciting news, but first a couple of comments. How many times in your life have you heard the phrase, be grateful for your health? You know, growing up in my house where my mother was ran a surgical nursing unit for 30 years, we heard it countless times, and I'm sure you've heard it as well. This morning, over 115,000 people woke up needing a life-saving organ. Almost 1,800 of these patients are children. 10,000 or more are from Texas. Tonight when you go to bed, that number will not change dramatically because every 11 minutes another person is added to the list waiting for an organ. Last year, 6,300 people died waiting for their organ, an average of 18 people a day. Working to change these numbers are hundreds, if not thousands, of healthcare professionals. In America last year, there was over 28,000 organ transplants, thanks to the gift provided by 14,000 individuals. In addition to these life-saving statistics, there were 46,000 corneal transplants and over 1 million tissue transplants. That's 46,000 people who regained their sight because of a corneal transplant. These are monumental numbers. Similar to the Olympics, the Transplant Games of America is a multi-sport festival style held in the United States every 2 years. Thousands of athletes, all recipients of life-saving organs, compete in over 12 sporting competitions to demonstrate to the world that organ donation not only saves lives, it creates a platform for individuals to live extraordinary lives. Truly a second chance for life. Some form of transplant games have been held in the United States for the last 22 years. Adding to the excitement of the sporting events, over 5,000 supporters, including donor family members, athlete families, and friends, will attend and cheer on the competitors and commemorate living donors as well as loved ones who in death provided life for others. It is truly an event like no other. I am excited and thrilled to announce today that through the efforts of the Harris County Houston Sports Authority, the local medical community, Brian Gilliam, heart recipient donor dad, Donna Esposito, transplant coordinator, Life Gift Houston, and many others, we are awarding the 2014 Transplant Games of America to the city. Congratulations, and thank you for the chance to partner with so many beautiful people. Our mission is simple. We carry the message of the importance of organ donation. We will work with the state of Texas over the next 20 months to impact the number of adults on the donor registry list, as well as to highlight the important work being done in the field of transplantation. 26 years ago in Florida, in October, I watched a helicopter lift off, carrying my 18-year-old daughter's heart, destined for transplantation at a Tampa hospital. My life was profoundly changed forever, and I work in her memory to make a difference. I look forward to working with all of you on the Transplant Games. Thank you, Houston.
America, we have a mayor that loves sports. She supports us in everything we do in the sports community, and so I am honored and proud to announce Mayor Nice Parker.
We do a lot of sporting events here in Houston. We have our professional teams, but we also host some phenomenal sporting events that get lots and lots of attention, whether that's a Super Bowl or an All-Star game or an NCAA Final Four. We know how to put on sporting events. Last year, or actually earlier this year, we had the senior games here in Houston. There aren't very many sporting events that have the meaning that this one has and will have for our community. It is right and appropriate that it's in Houston. It's appropriate because we're a big city. It's appropriate because we are a city that puts on big sporting events, and we're going to do a great job for them. But we're also home to the largest medical complex in the world. And we are home to the Texas Medical Center, where organ transplants occur every day. This is an opportunity to provide a great event, but it's also an opportunity to tell the world one more time in a big way how important organ donation is, how each of us, through simple acts and simple decisions, can save lives, and that people who have experienced an organ transplant can thrive and even perform athletic feats at a very, very high level. Message upon message upon message. We thank very much the Transplant Games for choosing Houston. We obviously think they made a good choice, but they made the right choice. And we are going to do everything that we can as a city. I appreciate that so many council members, Noriega and Davis and Christie and Adams and the other council members. We will do everything that we can to raise awareness and to use the Transplant Games as an opportunity to pound the message home here in Houston to support organ donation. So thank you on behalf of the city for choosing us, and we look forward to working with you on this.
And now a very special person. I bet there won't be a dry eye when he's done. This is Brian Gilliam. He's the Team Texas manager. He's the one that came and told me his story, and we were so compelled after we heard his story to bid for this. Brian?
Bill Ryan with Transplant Games of America, thank you very much. I promise you, you won't be let down. The City of Houston will do a great job. The state of Texas is proud to host this event. Everybody with the City of Houston, Mayor Parker, thank you for having us here. I'm thrilled and honored to be a part of this, but I'm only a small piece of the part. I'm a heart transplant recipient. I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure in 2004. And it came to a point where I couldn't walk from my front door to pick up my mail out of my mailbox. In 2008, I had a heart transplant, and 3 months later, I returned back to work. In that same month, I stepped back on the golf course for the first time, and haven't been off the golf course since. This is what led me to find out about the Transplant Games, the U.S. Transplant Games, and I've met a great, amazing amount of people. The living donors, the donor families, more transplant recipient athletes, and all of the people, our caregivers that have played a part, that have made a difference in my life and so many other lives. This is our way of honoring the donor families and the living donors, is to go out and compete. It's done across the nation, it's done across the world. The first games that ever happened were back in 1982 when a small group of transplant recipients gathered in Texas. And they actually called those the U.S. Transplant Games, extremely small. And those come to be known as the first games that were ever held. And now, in 2014, after a very, very, very long time, the games are returning from where they began. Houston Harris County Sports Authority, Janice, you and your team have done an amazing job. Thank you so very much for everything y'all have done. The people at Donate Life have always been big supporters. And I have to touch on what Mayor Parker said about the medical center. This is indeed the best medical center in the world. They've saved so many lives. They do transplants every day, more transplants than most places anywhere in the world, and they've become extremely successful. There's an 11-year-old boy up in Frisco, Texas that wasn't able to make it to the games in Grand Rapids this last time because he got sick right before the games started. Well, he's going to have the games in his home court this time, so he'll be at these games. And I'm excited to be able to tell Darius that these games are here in Texas this year, buddy, so you'll be there. And we have 74-year-old athletes that contacted me after the last games and said these were the best games that we've ever had in Grand Rapids. They put on a wonderful show in that city. Okay, I know what Houston will do. Those will be the best games that we've ever had before. So thanks, Darius.
Now I'd like to introduce Jenny Heiser. Jenny is with, she's the director of transplant at Texas Children's Hospital, and of course we can't put on a games without our medical community. So Jenny.
We just want to thank the City of Houston. We want to thank the Transplant Games of America for hosting the Transplant Games this year, next year in Houston. We think this will be a great opportunity for our kids at Texas Children's to be able to meet adults who've had transplants, to be able to see how they can live productive, healthy lives, and we just look forward to it, and we think it's a great opportunity. Thank you.
And now Samuel Holzman, or Sam Holzman, President and CEO of Life Gift.
Thank you, Janice. Organ donation saves lives. Everything I ever say, I start with that. That's very true. Organ donation does save lives. Bringing the Transplant Games of America to Houston will highlight the critical need for more Texans to become registered organ, eye, and tissue donors. The registry is not only about organs, but it's about corneal and tissue donation as well. Today there are more than 3,000 Houstonians waiting for a life-saving transplant. In Texas, there's more than 11,000 waiting in quiet desperation. About 3 million Texans are registered donors in the Donate Life Texas Registry right now. We've made tremendous progress over the last year or so with the help of the Department of Public Safety here in the state and our other community partners. But with over 24 million residents, Texas still has much to be accomplished. It is our hope that by hosting the Transplant Games here in the Bayou City, we'll draw more attention to the donor registry and encourage more Texans to sign up to save lives. So my one last message is go to www.donatelifetexas.org. That's www.donatelifetexas.org and become an organ and tissue donor today. It's free, it's easy, and it saves lives. Thank you.
In fact, we've got one better. If you have not signed up to donate and be a donor, you can do that today. There is a table right in the back. We want the games to be more than just putting on a wonderful sporting event. We know that we can do that. And hopefully you can see that bill with, you've got city council members here, you've got Texas Children's, Memorial Hermann, St. Luke, my board is here. I mean, you have the support in this room. We're going to do a fantastic games. But more importantly, we want Texas to rise. We are a big state with a wonderful medical community, and we want to be really up there near the top instead of near the bottom with the number of registered donors. So please sign up if you haven't. Don't leave here without signing up. It's an easy way to save lives. At this time, we are going to have a torch pass. and for allowing us to host this. We are very, very excited. A couple more people I just need to thank quickly. George Ryan, the Department of Public Safety, now oversees the donor registry list. Thank you so much. Since you got involved, millions more people have signed up. And then we also have the Harris County Hospital District here. Thank you for being involved.
A lot of questions about other things, but about the Transplant Games. Are there questions about the Transplant Games?
Mayor, how did you pull it off?
I didn't pull it off. You know, our sports authority does a great job positioning the city to hold events. And Janice is our representative out there. The Houston-Harris County Sports Authority is the go-to group for dealing with prospective sporting events. But we have a good track record as well, and so groups seek us out. Anything else? Well, thanks everybody for being here.